I stayed awake for 3 straight days on meth. By day 2, I was seeing things. By day 3, I couldn't tell what was real. Here's what happened when desperation and drugs completely broke my mind. I worked night security at a strip mall in Phoenix. Basic job, walk around, check doors, watch cameras, write reports. The pay sucks, but it was all I could get with my record. I'd been using methamphetamine on weekends for about a year, small amounts to stay alert during those long dead shifts. Last month, everything changed. Got an eviction notice. 30 days to find $2,400 or I'd be homeless. My mom was already housing my sister and her kids, so I had nowhere to go. That's when my dealer Marcus offered me work. His regular transport guy got busted, and he needed someone clean-looking with a car for runs between Phoenix and Tucson. 3 trips over the weekend. $3 grand cash. More than I made in 2 months at security. Don't sleep before the runs though, he said, handing me a bag of crystal bigger than anything I'd used before. You need to stay sharp. This'll keep you focused for days. I knew it was stupid, but $3 grand would save my apartment and buy me time to figure things out. Friday night I started my regular shift and took my first hit around 10. The rush hit immediately. Crystal clear awareness, endless energy, every sense razor sharp. The strip mall that usually felt dead suddenly buzzed with possibility. I had to make my first run Saturday at 6 a.m. anyway, so staying awake made sense. The meth would just keep me alert for both jobs. That first night was perfect. I became the most focused security guard that place ever had. I noticed everything. Which cars belonged to late workers, exactly when each store's alarms activated, every pattern of movement outside. I felt like a surveillance expert. Saturday morning's drug run went smooth. Drive to Tucson, drop a package at a storage unit, drive back. Easy money. I took another hit to stay sharp for my next shift, but the second night felt different. The heightened awareness turned into something else, hypervigilance. Every small sound made me jump. The security cameras picked up movement I couldn't see with my eyes. Cars in the parking lot looked occupied, people watching me. Around 3 a.m., I started catching movement in my peripheral vision. Dark shapes moving between storefronts, shadows that didn't match the lighting. When I'd look directly, nothing. But something was definitely moving just outside my field of vision. I figured I was tired and took another small dose. 2 more runs to complete. I needed to stay focused. Sunday morning's run felt wrong. Paranoid. I kept checking mirrors, sure I was being followed. Every cop car made my heart race. But I finished the delivery and collected another 1,000. 1 more run, and I'd save my apartment. Sunday night, 48 hours without sleep. The hallucinations became undeniable. People were walking through the parking lot at 2 a.m. Men in hoodies, women with bags, even families with kids. But the stores were closed. The lot should have been empty. When I'd focus on someone specific, they'd fade away or walk behind a car and never come out the other side. I started doing extra patrols, checking every corner. Part of my brain knew this was meth psychosis, but the drugged part was getting scared. What if these weren't hallucinations? What if something real was happening? That's when the voices started. Whispers from empty storefronts. Conversations behind locked doors. Phones ringing in vacant offices. Cash registers operating in closed shops. By Sunday night, my second sleepless night, I was convinced the strip mall ran a secret operation after hours. Those phantom customers weren't hallucinations. They were part of an underground business I wasn't supposed to see. I started taking notes, documenting everything. The patterns, timing, specific people who kept appearing. In my meth-fueled paranoia, I was building a case against my own employers. Monday morning's final run was when everything fell apart. 36 hours without sleep, plus multiple doses, had completely corrupted my judgment. Every car on the highway was following me. The pickup location in Tucson was definitely a setup. When I reached the storage unit, I sat in my car for 20 minutes studying everyone nearby. Woman walking her dog, surveillance operative. Old man checking mail, clearly watching me. Maintenance guy fixing a sprinkler, taking too long. I almost drove away without making the delivery, but I needed that final 1,000. I grabbed the package and sprinted to the unit, constantly checking over my shoulder. When I opened it to make the drop, someone was definitely hiding behind the boxes. I drove back, convinced multiple vehicles were tailing me. Every car that stayed behind me for more than a few miles joined the conspiracy. I took surface streets, made random turns, stopped at gas stations to see who'd follow. Nobody did, but my paranoid brain saw this as proof they were professionals. Monday night, my third sleepless night, I completely lost touch with reality. The strip mall was fully operational now. Dozens of people moving through the complex, conducting business, having meetings. I could hear detailed conversations through empty store walls. People discussing financial transactions, planning criminal activities, organizing elaborate schemes. My security job was obviously a cover for something bigger. The building owners weren't renting retail space, they were running a criminal enterprise, and I was an unwitting participant. Around 2 a.m., I decided I needed evidence. I used my master key to enter a vacant storefront where I'd heard the most activity. Inside, the space was completely empty. No furniture, no equipment, no signs anyone had been there recently. But I could still hear voices from the back office, clear conversations about money laundering, drug distribution, human trafficking. The voices were so real, I started recording them on my phone, building evidence for when I called police. When I played back the recordings later, silence. That's when my body started shutting down. My heart beat irregularly. I thought I was having a heart attack. My hands shook uncontrollably. I'd lost significant weight and hadn't eaten anything substantial in 3 days, but I couldn't stop. The criminal organization was too big, too dangerous. I had to document everything before they realized I'd figured out their operation. I spent the rest of the night photographing empty rooms, recording conversations that didn't exist, writing detailed reports about activities happening only in my head. Tuesday morning, Marcus called about payment. When I tried explaining I'd uncovered a massive criminal conspiracy and might be in danger, he immediately knew what was happening. "You need to stop using and get some sleep," he said. "You're having a psychotic episode." But I couldn't listen. He was probably part of it too. Tuesday afternoon, 72 hours without sleep. I called 911 to report the criminal organization. The dispatcher asked what emergency I was reporting. I tried explaining the money laundering, after-hours meetings, surveillance network watching me. My words came out fast and jumbled, but everything made perfect sense in my head. "Sir, are you currently using any substances?" she asked. That question triggered complete paranoia. They were in on it. Police, building owners, Marcus, probably my co-workers. Everyone was part of this conspiracy, and I'd walked into their trap by calling for help. I hung up and ran, left the strip mall and drove aimlessly around Phoenix, convinced police cars were tracking me through GPS. Every helicopter was following me. Every person who looked my way was surveillance. I ended up at a 24-hour diner, thinking I could hide and figure out my next move. But other customers were watching me. The waitress asked too many questions. The cook kept coming out to look at me. Even the old man reading newspaper was taking too much interest. I ordered coffee but couldn't drink it. What if they drugged it? What if this whole place was a setup? That's when it hit me. I hadn't slept in 3 days and had been taking meth almost continuously. The rational part of my brain, which had been getting smaller and quieter, finally broke through the paranoid delusions. None of this was real. The criminal organization, surveillance, conspiracy, all meth psychosis combined with severe sleep deprivation. I was having a complete mental breakdown in public. I called my sister from the bathroom. "I need help," I whispered. "I think I'm losing my mind." She picked me up an hour later and drove straight to the ER. I tried explaining what had happened, but even as the words came out, I could hear how insane they sounded. The doctor diagnosed methamphetamine intoxication with psychotic features. They kept me for observation while the drugs cleared, and I finally slept. When I woke 16 hours later, everything looked different. The hospital room was just a hospital room, not a government facility. Nurses were just nurses, not surveillance agents. The voices, phantom people, elaborate conspiracy, none had been real. The psychiatric evaluation revealed I'd experienced complex auditory and visual hallucinations for at least 24 hours. Everything I'd seen, heard, believed during that final day was created by my drug-addled, sleep-deprived brain. The aftermath was brutal. Lost my security job for abandoning my post. The $3,000 I'd earned went to medical bills and rent. I was exactly where I'd started, except now with a psychiatric emergency on my record and withdrawal symptoms. Recovery took weeks. Even after meth left my system, sleep deprivation had caused lasting damage. For months I'd experienced mild hallucinations when overtired. Voices and white noise, movement and peripheral vision, lingering suspicion people were watching me. The worst part wasn't losing money or the job. It was realizing how completely my mind had betrayed me. For an entire day I lived in a reality that existed only in my head, made decisions based on completely fabricated information. 3 days without sleep plus methamphetamine had turned me into someone else, paranoid, delusional, totally disconnected from reality. The drugs promised focus and energy, but delivered madness instead. I'm 18 months clean now. Got a day job at a hardware store. Found a cheaper apartment, slowly rebuilding. But I still think about those 3 days sometimes. How quickly your mind can break. How thin the line is between reality and complete psychological collapse. Sleep matters. Your brain needs rest to function. And drugs that promise to eliminate that need, they're lying. The bill always comes due, and the price is higher than you think. Ever been so exhausted you couldn't think straight? Started seeing things that weren't there? Sleep deprivation messes with everyone differently. Share your stories below, but get some rest first.